You're watching Shaw Arts and Entertainment. I am Curtis Anderson. Another hard assignment today. I'm spending the afternoon at the Yard in Flaggen with local funny man, Mr. Jody Peters, Aberdeen's own Jody Peters. Sir, how are you doing today?
Really good, really good.
A few weeks ago, I saw you at the Shaker for Diabetes. You did almost an hour-long show. It was fantastic. Talk about the response the crowd gave you that night.
Oh, I think it was a really good response. I mean, like everybody was into it pretty much, from the beginning, and then as more and more people came in, like some enjoyed the show, and then others were like just drinking at the bar, which is cool too.
We talked on the phone after that, set up this interview. You said you don't have much public shows in the future. You're doing a lot of corporate stuff.
Yeah.
The last show you did, it seemed like it was really aimed at a younger audience. A lot of it was really surprisingly harsh. How does your routine differ doing corporate and doing young kids drinking?
Well, vastly different. I mean, usually a lot fewer F-bombs in the corporate ones. In fact, none. Corporate shows are generally, a little more clean. Like most of my jokes, I write clean and then dirty them up as they kind of go along. And also depends on what kind of night it's going to be. I mean, that night on the 4th was party night. What I mean? So everybody's there to have fun and drink and have a good time. And so that's kind of show you're going to get.
So are these corporate things like office parties? Or are they like, let's bring in Jody Peters to put a funny spin on downsizing? Nothing like that? Lots of office parties. I mean, like there's some where they try and we're going to have a lot of really harsh meetings, so let's bring in a comic to lighten the mood. Generally doesn't work all that well, I did one, there was a ratepayers meeting out somewhere in, Armpit, Saskatchewan, and that was tough. I mean, they were not looking to laugh after that one. They were looking to beat up the only brown guy in the room. Yeah, it's hard to put a funny spin on poverty. Okay, let's talk about yourself. You started in Aberdeen, Saskatchewan. How did this get going? How did you realize you were funny? I mean, what's funny about Aberdeen? What got this going?
What's funny about Aberdeen? Well, most of anything, generally, what's funny about Aberdeen is that everybody's kind of focused on boozing.
Okay.
I think that's probably the main thing. Like it's in the 70s, it started being that sort of bedroom community type of thing. And so when I went to school, there was you had your Aberdeen people, which I was part of because my dad grew up there. And then you had your outsiders, like the Saskatoon people who just came to live out there and then worked in the city. And there was this rift for a while, until everybody realized that even people from Saskatoon can drink too, and it sort of came this big bonding thing. It was boozing. That's Aberdeen, basically. We use booze to seal the wounds of any kind of difference. That made no sense.
That's fine. I'm just gonna nod like I know what you're talking about, and this is going well. Yeah. Every comedian has the horror story about starting out. They play at maybe a questionable venue, something like that. The crowd's really angry. Do you have a story like that? I noticed your last set, a lot of racially charged jokes. If there's any appropriate stories you can tell, get any negative feedback from that? Any horror stories like that?
Actually, not when I was starting out. It was kind of funny as time went on. Really? I tell you're saying show, and then I'm out in some Kindersley was the last time it happened. These guys came up to me afterward and they were talking to me, and one guy forgot my name. So he's like, "So what?" What? Hey, you would be fine. It's not the only other name I'm known by. But anyways, it's sort of a weird thing. It's not really negative, and they're like, "Wow, you called yourself that?" True. But you're amongst all your peers from work right now. It doesn't really reflect great on you that you're calling a black guy right now. You may not get that raise.
Saskatoon has a zoo for no good reason whatsoever. It's not even really a zoo. I think they just put food down and then built fence around it. Everybody came to eat it. Because there's nothing in the Saskatoon Zoo that you've not seen dead on the highway around Saskatoon. It's just not bloated this time, you know what I mean?
Where's the farthest this has taken you? I mean, obviously some great travel stories.
Oh, yeah. Well, I think probably the best place I ever went is Montreal Comedy Festival. Yep. Easily. That is the mecca for comedians in the world, really. And so it was really fun, really, really mind-blowing. It's tough to be around that many comics at once. They're a pretty neurotic bunch. Yeah. But that and just knowing that I can do what I do, what I love to do, anywhere really, in the English-speaking world.
I think what people don't understand is that this is a craft, right? It's something you have to practice and get good at. How annoying is it when morons come up to you on the street and are like, "Jody, say something funny." Hit me with something funny.
Yeah, saying something funny is, I don't know. I always tell people, like, just sit with me for a while. Something's going to come out, generally. Keep talking like an idiot, and I'll make fun of you somehow. But, no, I don't have jokes. I tell funny stories about growing up or life here and that kind of thing. I'm a different kind of comic. I'm not a one-liner type of comic. So, I mean, like, when it comes down to having jokes, I don't know any. Like, I don't know any. Like, somebody can tell. You ever meet a good joke teller? You know, a guy who can really remembers all these jokes and all, like, how to really work the joke and stuff. I love sitting around guys like that. They're awesome. But I can't remember a single one. And there's times where I thought, like, I need to remember that joke. That's a really good one. And I can't, for the life of me, remember it because it's not mine.